Welcome to What the Horror, the very first video in this ridiculous series that I'm gonna try out. I had a dumb idea that I thought would be fun where viewers comment ideas for a short horror story, but with a twist to make it either as unhinged as possible or so the story takes such a stupid turn that it ends up being hilarious. So my thought was I will go through the comments and take people's ideas for story prompts, and then I'll run them through ChatGPT and then just blindly read through whatever crap it comes up with. The goal is to try and read these stories with a straight face and just see how it goes. So like this first one I'm gonna read, just as an example, is a story of an exorcist who is trying to get rid of a demon from a young woman's body, but his hands are giant mousetraps. This is the snapping hands of Father Brell. Father Elias Brell had performed over 40 exorcisms in his career, but none had ever come with a curse this strange. The Vatican had warned him that this case in Hollow Ridge was different, that the demon known as Virith delighted in corruption through humiliation. Yet nothing could have prepared him for the grotesque transformation of his own hands. When he arrived at the condemned farmhouse where the girl was tied down, his hands had already begun to twist and splinter, the flesh contorting into thick wooden traps with metal bars where fingers once were. He screamed in agony as the first snap echoed through the stale air of the chapel's ruins, the traps clamping down on his own wrists like iron jaws. He should have backed away then, let someone else take the case. But Brell knew that the girl, 16-year-old Lila Morrow, had already chewed off her tongue and was halfway through clawing her own eyes out. If he didn't do this, she would die in a far worse way. Lila lay naked. Whoa. Okay, we're gonna back up a little. But Brell knew that the girl, 24-year-old Lila Morrow, lay naked on the stained altar, limbs bound in barbed wire that pulsed like veins. Her body was covered in bruises that formed grotesque patterns, symbols that moved when no one was watching. Her jaw dislocated and reset in real time as she hissed in Latin, German, and a language no one could translate. Brell approached her, the wooden traps twitching at the ends of his arms, teeth clenched as the demon inside her cackled.
You brought toys.
It purred through Lila's cracked lips.
Let's play, priest.
With a grunt, Brell raised his mousetrap hands to her forehead, murmuring scripture through his clenched jaw. The moment the trap touched her skin, snap! It clamped down violently, shattering her cheekbone with a sickening crunch. Blood spurted out in thin geysers, and Lila shrieked, not from the pain, but in a shrill, ecstatic giggle. The demon inside her enjoyed it. The demon that is inside 24-year-old Lila Morrow.
No.
Brell stammered, pulling his hand away and trying to control the mechanism, but the traps had their own will, snapping at anything warm. Her face, her arms, her breasts, her thighs. Each contact sent a fresh jolt of bone-splitting pain through both of them. Every snap echoed like laughter in the walls. Her skin began to change, bubbling and blistering where the traps landed. The demon fed on the chaos, its voice rising in harmony with Lila's screams, which now blended sorrow, fear, and some unnatural pleasure.
Is this how you touch women, Father? A slap. A snap. A punishment. You always wanted to hurt them.
I did not!
He screamed, trying to back away, but the traps lashed forward like striking snakes. Snap, snap! Shattering her pelvis. Her clavicle, her body spasmed and writhed, not from seizures, but from dancing. She was dancing on the altar now, blood trailing in arcs.
You're doing my work.
Virith laughed.
You're not purifying, you're butchering. She'll never be clean now.
Brell fell to his knees, vomiting bile onto the floor. His hands twitched and snapped at the ground, trapping cockroaches and chunks of flesh like sentient, hungry predators. He tried to recite another verse, but the Bible on the ground caught fire, crumbling to ash as Lila's head spun all the way around with a sickening crack. Her bones no longer obeyed the laws of anatomy. One leg stretched to the ceiling, toes curling like spider legs. Her ribcage opened and shut like a mouth, tongue protruding from the cavity, licking at the air. Still, Brell couldn't stop. He tried again.
In nomine Patri.
And again his hand struck her stomach. Snap! A section of her intestines spilled out, wriggling like a blind worm. Lila wailed and moaned simultaneously, her voice splitting in two tones, one high, one impossibly low, like the growl of the earth itself.
You're enjoying this.
The demon whispered through her blood-soaked teeth.
Why do your hands keep returning to the same soft spots?
Brell sobbed now, his traps chattering and snapping uncontrollably, spraying her body with cuts and bruises. Flesh flaked away like bark. She was becoming something else, less human, more grotesque. And in her gaze, there was no longer pain, but love. The demon was seducing him through agony.
You are my artist, priest. Your traps are the brushes. Paint me.
Damn. And so he did. He beat her with the traps, and every snap echoing into eternity, when her body could no longer respond, when she was barely a ribcage and a face. Her final word wasn't a curse, it was his name.
Elias.
The demon was gone, but so was Lila. In her place lay a sculpture of pain, twisted limbs arranged like an offering to a god that did not care. Damn, that goes pretty hard. Brell's hands fell silent at last, the traps locking shut forever. He turned to the shadow in the corner, where a mirror reflected his face, smiling. Not his own smile, but one borrowed from something deeper. Something that had just taken root in him. Thank you so much for watching the first episode of What the Horror. Be sure to comment your ridiculous ideas down below, and I will be using those for upcoming stories. I'm gonna score this story with a completely arbitrary number based on how funny or dumb it was, or how much it made me laugh. The snapping hands of Father Brell? 3 out of 10. We can do better.